Welcome to Mel's Diary, Unscripted. If you are new to my podcast, welcome. It's great to have you. This is Mel, and starting a podcast is kind of a new thing for me, so please bear with me in the transition. I want to keep it real, and I want it to feel comfortable and hopefully relatively forthcoming with different things. And if you're still with me, I appreciate your patience, because it's not easy to start a podcast when you're completely not used to that format and trying to decide what to say and when to say it and what I want to focus on is not always the easiest thing to do, especially when you have a lot of other things filling your life. I have a lot of things that fill my life, and amongst them, I have a website with a blog on it that is melseely.com, and on it I write about a lot of things. It kind of started with a little bit more of, well, actually, to be honest with you, it was completely unfocused when I started, and it probably still feels that way in some ways even today. I write about a lot of things. I talk a little bit about my life, but a lot of what I write about is things like relationships and spiritual insights. I use that term loosely in a sense because I feel like spiritual means a lot of things to a lot of people, but I'm a Christian, so take that however you will. But sometimes when I am reading the Bible, it's just, I'll have a moment where it's like I just see something and I think, why have I never realized this before? Why don't I ever remember anybody talking about this before? And I just share that on my website. I also talk about kind of crazy random events that have happened in my life, and some of them years later still just correct me up, to tell you the truth. And one such post years ago that I did, to be honest with you, when I wrote it, I never thought that there would be an ending to it. But then lo and behold, 2 years later, we found out the rest of the story. And I got to tell you, of all the things I imagined, the reality of what happened was nowhere near the list of possibilities that I had come up with. I also talk about different things. I have some chronic health issues, including things related to type 2 inflammation. I have allergies and asthma and weird reactive things. And basically, to just break it down to you in a nutshell, my body is filled with little ADHD soldiers of an immune system that just run around and attack everything at will. That's really the simplest way I can break it down. And I have written about some of my experience as a cancer patient and a cancer caregiver, as our oldest daughter had leukemia 3 times, and we lost her in 2018. So I'm sure you'll understand that I also talk about grief at times as well. I myself have had multiple cancer diagnoses as well. So I have unfortunately seen that experience from both sides of the fence. And boy, do I wish that fence had never made an appearance in my life. I will tell you. In the last probably 6 months or so, I've added a new section to my website where I am starting to include some of my fiction writing. Strangely enough, none of it is the stuff that I ever would have guessed would have been the first things to make it out there into the fiction world. I was struggling with writing letters to my son, and through a kind of weird long chain of events that the origin of which really dates back years, I ended up starting something that has now become the Invisible Friends Chronicles, where it is, and forgive me if I butcher this word, epistolary writing, which, to be honest with you, I'd never even really heard of before I accidentally started writing it. And I have letters to the entertainer, which that's the pseudonym I have for my son, from the Invisible Friends. And I have now expanded that to include letters from the traveling Invisible Friends and the author's journals, where I take a little bit of fact and kind of transform it into something that at times is a little bit stranger than fiction. And to be honest with you, I am weirdly loving it. So it has been an interesting journey so far, and I have been continuing to develop that. And God willing, before too long, I'll actually get some of my many started books finished that I have begun writing. I write both fiction and nonfiction, which I'm sure is probably apparent to you at this point, but I'm also working on books that are fiction and nonfiction. But I also have been in homeschooling 3 kids, which the journey there is getting a lot closer to completion these days, as they are all in their upper teens. But it has definitely taken a share of time and energy along the way, and so much more that I couldn't even begin to break down all the little things. But there's always a lot going on around here, and if any parts of my story have resonated with you, I hope that you will stick with me as I start this new journey with you. And this podcast, I intend for it to be kind of a little bit of a hybrid for right now, at least until I get everything worked out, where some of the podcasts will be somewhat me just reading blog posts that I have already written, possibly with added commentary. And other times I'm just going to sit down and hit record, and we'll see where things take us. But I hope that you will stick around. Until next time, take care.